has come. We must never stop the way, yeah. Birds jumping and I hear my name, grasping into a life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah, light is gonna come. The birds have just begun. We will always take a stand for the people, for the land. Let's go back to when we were young. For the animals we stand. Let's go back to when trees were swung, kids across the land. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah. There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Welsh Open, and welcome to the last 16 round match in between Barry Hawkins and Mark Williams, the players that are certainly gonna be on the way to try be one of the last top seeded players still standing, and certainly one of them will reach the last 8, the quarter-final draw, to try and play against either Jack Jones or Neil Robertson. This quarter is probably gonna feature one of the, if not the highest ranking player left out in the tournament by the time that the quarter will find out its winner. For now it is going to be the welcoming of the players, the handshake and the break-off shot made by Barry Hawkins. And well, I'll tell you what, he could have started off slightly better. That cue ball drifted nicely to the green pocket, but it's gone all the way back to be on the top edge of the D. And that will allow Mark Williams to try and do something here, because we have got another Williams, Robbie Williams, playing against Jeong John, the player that has managed to knock out Mark Selby in the most Mark Selby style in a decider, winning that match by 4 frames to 3. So the defending champion was out in the first round, but now it is going to be the finalist here of 2018, Barry Hawkins, against someone that will be trying to finally land a win here at the Welsh. Very much his home tournament, and look at that for a shot, brilliantly played by Williams at this stage. Gives the turn to Barry Hawkins. You know, it looked like he was going to try and pot the red into the right corner, but at the same time managing to bring the white all the way up the table certainly allowed him to do some other things here as well, and that's going to force Barry Hawkins to make a mistake, and it's a bad mistake as well. You know, he was trying to find the edge of one of those reds and get that cue ball to be drifting all the way to the top of the table. In the end, he missed the contact altogether, and that's going to leave a chance out to Williams, leaving a red pretty much over the pocket. You might be able to see that we're now down to just 2 tables being played, so going to be playing 2 matches at a time before we get to the semi-final stage, because that's going to be very much the case in the quarter-final matches tomorrow as well. So another important shot here for Williams. Takes the black straight away and manages to pot that one nicely. Gets himself lined up on the red, and now should be able to, you know, just, well, really get this break started and underway. Tournament pot success so far, 88%, which is not too bad, but not really too good, especially if you talk about the ways that he managed to win his match against Martin O'Donnell and Michael Holt. You know, was struggling in some of those occasions, but in the end still managed to overcome without needing a decider yet. And it looks like he's going to be off to a great start in the first frame here as well. And yeah, about the top seeded players, as I say, we've had John Higgins to win the decider against Buildup Revesh yesterday, the player from Hungary. That's managed to take it all the way against the finalist of the Players' Championship last week. Higgins has managed to, well, make it a really uncomfortable decider for Buildup, and in the end, just able to get himself over the line, 4-3 win, and Higgins is going to be through to the last 16. So Mark Williams, Neil Robertson are going to be the top seeded players left out in the tournament after we had the reigning champion very much knocked out. Jack Jones didn't play, and Karen Wilson was knocked out by Watchalong yesterday. So that's very much the update. And yeah, Williams, Robertson, Higgins, Xiaozington probably going to be the only players of the top 10 still standing. And well, very weird shot that Mark Williams has played there out of absolutely nothing. He had at least 3 reds to try and play for, and in the end it looks like he's managed to play exactly in the middle of the bunch there. Very much an unforced error, and he knew that one as soon as he seeing the cue ball lift off the black there. Just realised there was not enough spin added on that cue ball, and he was not going to be close enough to be far away, and into the open area. So just a safety there to be played. And a bit of a wasted opportunity though from Mark Williams. Let's see if he's going to be punished for it in the short to long-term game. For now, it's just looking to try and make the way out there, Hawkins. So looking at this red, of course, didn't really manage to get himself underway nicely in this season so far, but of course still was very much in the top 16 on the one-year list, played in the Players' Championship, played against Mark Williams, and lost out by 6 frames to 2. So, met twice this season. One of them was in the China Grand Prix, the tournament that Mark Williams managed to win. In the end, didn't really manage to, sort of build on his form there, Barry, especially after reaching the Triple Crown event final last season. And just a couple of other of the matches: Weezer against David Grace, Jack Lasowski against Jackson Page, John Higgins against Janganda, Xiao Xington against Stuart Bingham, Joey Long against Sam Craig, and Neil Robertson against Jack Jones. And as I say, we still have Jian Jun and Robbie Williams playing alongside us. As now Hawkins plays a decent shot had it not been for the contact on the yellow, but to be fair, he manages to get it a contact of a sort that just pushes the cue ball nicely onto the ball cushion. So it should still be a chance now for Williams to try and get a couple of those reds to be heading towards the right corner. And, well, manages to put the black slightly more out of position. And got a lot of pace on the cue ball though. I mean, he mentioned last time out that the cushions were very bouncing against Martin O'Donnell. And you have to say the pace wasn't really there when the cue ball was approaching the top part of the table. But it certainly was there when Barry Hawkins was approaching the table here. And Williams put his cue aside, so clearly expecting now a chance to go from Barry Hawkins. Whether it is going to be a chance taken or not, we'll have to wait and see. But this now is going to be cued nicely from Hawkins. And look at that for a sound. Brilliant there. Straight into the pocket. Although, I mean, he's not quite going to be positioned perfectly for the green. And that might put a bit of a shade onto this shot, which was a really nice one that he's taken. So do you take this green on? Because it can easily be missed. The cue ball is going to be alongside the green on the bulk line. So a bit of the distance, and as well, it's not quite a little bit of a running for the green to do. This is a difficult shot, and when you're playing for those reds, it could easily go wrong for you, but it didn't. Now then, is he going to be on the red? He's played right into the zone, and he's certainly going to be on one. So it's a good start that for Hawkins, and as I say, the previous mistake was very much an unforced error if you've seen one from Williams' point of view. Let's see if he's going to be punished for it now, or is it going to be Hawkins to try and make another mistake of his own? Of course, he won't try that, but you don't really dictate the way this is going to go. Straight away, bit of a bad shot there. Managed to get away with it, but still, only to an extent. The cue ball catching an unwanted kiss on one of those reds, and still managing to travel all the way to the right side cushion. Gives a bit of a bounce for him to be lined up on the blue, although very much on the wrong side of it. So needs to try and find the corridor to be getting that cue ball down the table. Manages to play the shot super well though. A couple of kisses on the way down though. So still going to be positioned very nicely indeed here, Hawkins. And about to take the red into the left corner, playing this shot on for the blue. Needs to make sure he's not going to be able to snooker in behind the red, and he's managed to do so. So now only 21 points of a difference in between the two players. And although head-to-head is certainly going to be in favour of Mark Williams, as I say, the last time that these two have played in a first of 4 match was English Open in 2022. And on that occasion, it was Mark Williams to win by 4 frames to 2. But it looks like it is going to be the better of the 2 chances now for Hawkins. Although, I mean, a bit of a weird shot that he's taking. He had such an easy red to be taken into the left middle. And yet he's going to be absolutely straight on his blue. So let's see if he's going to be trying to find the jaws of the middle. Instead, he's trying to just give a little bit of a bounce back towards the white. So making sure that he's not going to be impacted by the blue. So about to take the shot into the right corner now. Probably playing for the pink. Although as the camera focuses on the shot of the pink spot, may not actually be the worst, or the best thing I should say, for Higgins to play because he wants to try and keep the pink very much available to him. So would have not been surprised that he played for the blue, but he hasn't. So now just taking this pink into the left corner, using the entire pocket as well. Let's have a look what the verdict is going to be from the referee. Is the pink going to go onto the yellow spot, which, I mean, it's not going to be the end of the world for Hawkins, but I have to say it is going to feel like a bit of a problem if he's only going to have the blue very much available to him. And in the end, the pink is going to go onto the black ball spot. So still a good bit of decision making there for him. And you can see first round match was a bit of a difficult one against David Lilley, 4-3. In the round 2 yesterday against Pang Jung-soo, he's managed to play it super well, and especially being able to get over the line quite quickly, utilising those chances that Pang wasted on his point of view, and in the end managed to take it 4-2. So 5 frames that he's lost so far coming into this match. Mark Williams has lost 3 in the opening 2 matches against Michael Holt and very much yesterday against Martin O'Donnell, losing out another one, although he has managed to have a brilliant fight back, able to find a couple of those snookers, but in the end the way that O'Donnell managed to get a pink into the pocket, which was actually the colour that Williams was able to find snookers from. Doing that on the pink is super impressive all the time, but you just always seem to struggle when you find those snookers to actually get the pink and the black combination. For now, it is at 5 points advantage for Hawkins, still having those 4 reds very much available to him. So about to just roll this pink in, doesn't really need to do anything with the remaining reds. Just make sure you're going to be playing that cue ball past them and getting lined up into the right corner of the table to try and take this one. So once again, the angle is going to be there on the cue ball, so just try and force it down the table. Get yourself lined up on the black again, and sorry, on the pink spot. And yeah, get yourself to try and force the angle, though he's played pretty straight for this one, so that's going to be a bit of a difficulty now. Needs to avoid the black being super close to its own cushion, and uses the left side. Is he going to have the outcome though? I'm not sure about that. Ooh, he's going to be quite close to this red, but I still feel like he's going to be just about far enough for this one to be taking into the right middle, as he's got the first 50 plus break of the match. So straight away getting himself lined up to try and take the red into the right middle. Really low onto the cue ball as well to make sure that he's going to be playing for the pink. Couldn't really hold it for the left corner, so needs to be trying to take the shot into the middle instead. Could have done without, you know, being underneath the angle of the green, of the pink I should say. And this time around you feel like once again you'll be forced to try and take the shot around this red, which doesn't really leave him with an easy shot selection there. And you can see he's really struggling there and barely manages to get this pink to drop after a bit of a wobble, especially after trying to force that shot into the pocket. Now, you know what looked like it was going to be a straightforward clearance has turned out to be quite a challenge now. Next 3 shots are going to be the difference between Hawkins being able to clear up and leaving out a chance there for Williams. Once again uses the entire pocket but gets the job done. The red is eliminated, so once again needs to be taking this pink without getting into a 32 points of an advantage. And wow, he's going to be dead straight on this one, so no chance to be getting on the red, you would have thought. And just has to try and leave himself on for a double. I mean, topspin might be an option had he not been for the straight shot, because, you know, if you try to play this one straight, you either end up missing the pink or you end up potting the cue ball right next to the pink as well. So let's see what he's going to try and do here. And yeah, can't invade the bicycle from this position. Just going to be trying to get himself lined up for this red to be taken with a double. You know, getting the cue ball to be very much in behind the pink and black cluster. So now 32 points advantage. As I say, I feel like in the first frame, it's first to 4. You've got a 32 points of a gap. You're forcing Mark Williams to be taking this red with a blue. And I very much would expect this double to be attempted, but it's still a difficult one. So no guarantee that it'll actually disappear. And yep, way too close to the front jaw. And let's see if he's managing to get the cover on the blue. He may have done that, you know. So it's going to be super close. Not sure that Williams is actually able to see any edge of this red. And it's certainly going to be adding a bit of a pain there for Williams to try and find a safety, because he doesn't really want to be hitting this red too thin. But of course he wants to actually hit it to make sure he's still going to be very much in the hunt for this frame. Ooh, a bit of a bad touch on the brown, which is going to put the brown out of position. But he may have actually landed a snooker here on Hawkins. You know, it wasn't quite a snooker on the previous occasion from Barry himself. But now, a couple of seconds later, needs to try and find himself trying to catch this red. Don't force it over the left corner, which is exactly what he's done. And this could be a huge problem now for Barry Hawkins, because all you had to do was to hit that red closer to the middle of the table, or even the right hand side of it. In the end, this red is going to be just about as close to the pocket as he possibly can be. So Williams, of course, knows that he can play for the blue or the pink. Ideally wants to be playing for the blue. And manages to just about be fine with this one. He's going to be having the cue ball to jump away from the ball cushion, closer to the yellow as well. Bit of side spin to help him out on the mission. And yeah, you probably would expect this to come down to either potting the brown or getting the transition from the brown all the way for the blue. I mean, it feels like he is going to be tempted to just try and take the brown away from the cushion, but I feel like that's going to be the wrong decision there, because of the way that you still want to be positioned, obviously, for the green. So just try and take the yellow and the green right now. Position the cue ball very close to the brown, but give yourself just about enough of a chance to be forcing an angle on that shot. And well, he's tried to hold the cue ball. I'm not sure that was the right idea. We're going to find out if it was in a minute, because it looks like to me he's very much going to be positioning himself on the wrong side of this green. And yeah, just thinking about which safety shot to play. He's not going to be trying to roll the brown into the green pocket from here. Yeah, he's going to be dead straight on this green. So I feel like he can try and do it, but it's going to be way too risky for him to try and attempt this shot. And you know, it's probably going to be the harder grades of the golden ball in Saudi Arabia. So let's see what his decision is actually going to be there. 24 points in this frame, 25 still at the table. So now if you take this green into the yellow pocket, should be able to force that cue ball closer to the brown. He decided not to do that at all. So just leaving the cue ball onto the ball cushion and getting that brown to be heading very much close to the pink and the black. This looks really good and looks really promising there from Mark Williams' point of view. Didn't really want that heavy contact on the black though. Would have just liked to drift that brownie behind the black instead. And it is going to be a bit of an interesting situation where Hawkins finds himself snookered, but with a chance, if he hits this one really well, he could easily snooker Mark Williams back here, and therefore putting all the pressure down to him. For now, he's got another difficult couple of seconds for him to try and make his mind up. Oh, the cue ball is going to be super close to the pink and doesn't really want a firm contact. The cue ball is going to be close to the left middle, and it looks like it's all gone horribly wrong there for Hawkins. He needed to catch this one thin on the edge, and I feel like he was just, you know, a bit too cautious of not catching the pink and leaving out a free ball. But in the end, I feel like a free ball would not have been as bad of a situation as this is going to be, because the brown is left over the pocket, and it's all going to be down to leaving this cue ball with a bit of the angle on the blue, which, although I said it was going to be easy, Mark Williams has played pretty much the worst positional shot that he could have. Just about as close to being straight on this blue as he possibly can be. On the wrong side of it as well, and he knows, for me, there's not a single way in this world that he can try and play this shot and end up on the pink. So that was another chance that sort of when begging, you would feel, unless he was going to be using the jaws, which wasn't really the case. Nearly clashes and crashes into the referee as well, which didn't help the case. And Hawkins is about to come back to the table there, you would feel. Once again, another weird mistake from Williams, because as I say, if he had the angle to try and force the cue ball to be heading to the top part of the table, at least, that would have been a chance for him. Instead, it is going to be a chance for Barry Hawkins to still try and find either one of those colours to disappear for him. So now, a break of 9 points is going to end there for Williams, and forces the cue ball and the pink to be far away from each other, but probably wouldn't trouble Hawkins too much. A 2-cushion escape, trying to put the pink exactly in the middle of the black ball cushion. Worked out pretty well. And now it's down to Williams once again to try and take the safety battle away. Trying to find a corridor to get the cue ball in behind the black. This is good, I'll tell you that. And, well, might have been lacking the pace a little bit at the end. But there is an acknowledgement from Hawkins. And he does seem to be feeling that he needs to be playing the shot off the cushion. So, shouldn't be too much of an issue in terms of the points. He's got a high, sort of, well, a big area, I should say, of the pink to try and aim towards. And it doesn't really matter if he misses the pink first time. And he has missed it, so 6 points are going to be heading the way of Mark Williams. Probably a bit of a nothing shot, really, especially from the first time. Because he still leaves Hawkins only needing one of those colours. And he still leaves Williams needing both of them here. But just boost the total points scored in his frame already up to 122. Could still be 135 total if Williams is to be winning this frame. Once again, better line from Hawkins, and he's not going to be missing this shot from the second attempt, surely. That certainly wasn't the case. So, as I say, that shot was purely down to getting 6 points, which not really going to help Mark Williams massively. But it's a shot that he had to play because, you know, if Hawkins misses that one twice, all of a sudden both of them need the pink and the black combination. For now, it's still only Williams that does it. And with the cue ball being super close to the pink, just able to force that one, being pretty much vertically across the green spot, but lined up very close to the ball cushion as well. So a cross double now, diagonally towards the left corner is available. Hawkins needs to make sure he avoids getting too close to the pocket and just rolls that pink to be pretty much at the center of the table as well. So that little tap on the table there from Williams. Played this shot super well, Barry. And, well, probably leaving out a chance here for Williams to try and do the same thing. Getting the cue ball to being behind the black. Didn't play this shot as well, though. Could have been a lot closer. And he could have actually left this pink available for Hawkins to be taking. Instead, he's just going to be trying to repeat the same thing that Williams has done. And get a bit of the thin contact on this pink. And trying to roll the cue ball and behind the black. Seems to be a bit pacey for that, though. And feels like there is going to be a chance for Williams to try and avoid, you know, hitting that cushion first. He certainly has got nice visibility of the pink, so trying to force that one onto the right side rail and getting across towards the black ball cushion. Played this one super well, to be fair, because the cue ball is going to be lined up perfectly onto the side cushion, just on top of the bulk line. The pink is quite close to the black ball cushion as well, so you know, it doesn't really work out if you want to try and play this shot straight in the face, because he forces the pink to be heading towards the yellow pocket, but also you don't want to be playing this shot vertically across the table, because that leaves a chance out of giving away a double kiss, and in that way you don't have a clue where the cue ball and the pink will finish. So probably just needing to try and find the left hand side of this pink. And is that what he's played? Well, he's tried to make this one just, as I say, vertically across the table, but it hasn't worked out at all. And, well, I felt like he was cautious about not leaving 6 points away as a foul shot and needing both the pink and the black. But it may have cost him the frame here, because the pink is basically going to be on the green spot. And the cue ball being in between the blue and the pink ball line. Would expect Williams to be taking this one. And he hasn't. Wow, this could be the massive turning point if Hawkins is to be somehow winning the match. Because you felt like he was there for the taking for Williams. Once again, doing all the hard work. You know, he would have been on the black. But now it's Hawkins to try and play the pink. And he doesn't need the black. He doesn't need to worry about it. Let's see if he's going to be able to roll this one in. He wasn't. Wow. I mean, barely see two professionals making a mistake like that. One after another. But we've certainly seen one here. The pink is going to be super close to the pocket, but can Williams find the angle without leaving this pink to wobble and jump away from the table to try and get this one into the yellow pocket? It was a chance for Williams. It was a chance for Hawkins. But now it all comes down to this black. the ultimate drama in the Welsh Open, but it's the Welshman that is able to prevail here in the last 16 match. And the first frame is finally going to be his for the taking. He hasn't been leading pretty much since that 32 points of a break that he's made right at the start of the frame, but still takes this opening frame away from Barry Hawkins in style and all the dramatic fashion that you could possibly ask for. It is now Mark Williams 1, Barry Hawkins 0. And I'll tell you what, that match was worth watching purely for that first frame. Incredible stuff, and incredible steal as well for Williams to be doing that at the end. Although, as I say, you know, I'm close to saying that Hawkins put that on a plate for him and just left out an opportunity to be taken away from himself there, really, because it was an unforced error if I've seen one. You know, that pink was a lot easier for Hawkins to be taking because, once again, he didn't have to worry one bit about what was going on the black. Ideally, he would have actually wanted that cue ball to be as far away from the pink and the black as possible, but of course, rattled the pink in the jaws of the yellow pocket. Didn't really manage to take that one too well and left it over the yellow pocket at the same time. Williams able to take it, and in the end, that clearly has played a really nice role for Mark Williams there. Jiang John is able to take their opening frame against Robbie Williams with two exactly the same odds there for Jiang John and Mark Williams to be the winner. 128 for each of them and 375 for Robbie Williams and Barry Hawkins for either one of them to be in the quarterfinal stage. Just seems to be a bit of a repeat there for the opening frames, as Jiang John and Robbie Williams managed to finish their respective frame as well. About to get the second frame underway. Same as on the main table here as well. Mark Williams will still be looking to try and get himself through to the first of 5 matches in the quarterfinal, before, of course, first to 6 in the semis and first to 9 in the final as well. And then this time around, it is going to be a break-off shot dealt with by Mark Williams. So very much doing all the damage there, mentally especially. You know, this is going to hurt for Barry Hawkins. Let's see if Williams is able to take it all to the right end from his point of view, or is it going to be Barry to try and find a good response from his camp as well? In the meantime, it's a really good break-off done by Mark Williams, and that's going to bring out the applause of the crowd. So Williams is going to be heading and looking towards the left part of the table as well. As I say, the winner of this pair will play either Jack Jones or Neil Robertson. The match is about to begin after this one. And we will also be covering Stuart Bingham against Joussington. Maybe a little bit late for that one, so don't, you know, criticize me too much, but I have warned you about it. 10 or 15 minutes late potentially if it starts at 9. So should have the normal scoreboard up and running, and then, of course, as soon as I'm back to the studio, it is going to be my face and my voice very much trying to tell you what is going on the snooker table. For now, it is Hawkins that is getting a bit of a look towards the left part of the table because he manages to get that one covered there from Williams. So acknowledges once again the shot that he's played, forcing him to try and spread the reds out, you would feel, from the right-hand side. But I'll tell you what, this shot looks really simple there. So the fact that Hawkins is not taking this one clearly suggests that it is going to be a bit of a risk towards here. So let's see what the decision actually is going to be there from Barry. I mean, surely he's not going to try and roll the cue ball from the left side all the way into the left part of the table. And in the end, he is going to be taking the option that I suggested previously. But as I say, take an eye on this one, because he clearly feels like it's not going to be the safe option to be taking on. Although he's played this one super well, manages to get the cover on the red, you'd feel like as well, next to the right middle. Although he was a bit cautious as he was walking away there. So Williams is going to have a look towards this red and see what he's got available next to his name. You feel like if you take this red, the cue ball is going to be heading towards the top end of the balk line. And at the same time, you could have the brown or the green positioned very much for the left middle instead. So he's just looking to find the line there, Williams. But I'm not too sure what he's going to try and do this red, because, you know, it felt like if he's going to be playing the shot with topspin, which he is, that is going to be very much aimed towards taking this red towards the middle. He's tried to take it all the way into the corner pocket. He was close, but he wasn't quite close enough. So, let's see if that's going to be giving a chance away to Hawkins again here. Barry's going to have a look and wander around to the lower part of the table. See the way that these reds are going to go towards the lower end of that. You know, the red that Williams has missed in the end was too far away from the pocket to be staying over the jaws. So now let's see what Hawkins' decision is going to be. And needs to miss the brown for this one to work out. He won't really miss the brown, but he's able to get the right kiss of the brown, which will limit the options for Mark Williams to be taking any one of those two reds, either into the left or right corner pocket. So once again, bit of the thin touch of one of those reds. Get it down the table, get that cue ball to be heading all the way to the very top of it now. And quite close to the green pocket as well. So, would expected this match to be slightly more front forward and open there. But you feel like the first frame was very much influenced by the way that it's gone not in favour of either one of the players. And in the end, the second frame is just all about trying to find the first chance there in between the players. So Hawkins about to take one of those reds towards the left middle. And, I mean, once again, gets a bit fortunate on the double kiss that he got on the red. Not for the first time in the match. And look at that. I mean, I say a bit fortunate, but he managed to get the cue ball perfectly lined up onto the ball cushion. So certainly was worth it in the end. And the turn is going to go back to Mark Williams here. I mean, I have to say, the way that he's managed to spread those reds out away from each other and still not leave any one of them too close to the pocket certainly deserves a good mention. And yeah, I mean, he's having a look towards maybe just rolling this cue ball towards the right part of the table. But, I mean, once again, he's going to have a couple of options available there to Barry. Maybe thinking about a plant towards the right corner, but once again, he's about as far away from the pocket as he possibly can be with a plant. And it's all about just trying to concentrate on bringing the cue ball very much to the top end of the table. So Hawkins is going to find himself in a reasonable, comfy spot there. So the decision is made. It is going to be the right side to be seeing the cue ball. It's a good line. He's at a good pace. He probably was about just as good as Mark Williams could produce there. Still left the red to be taken into the left middle, but as I say, on the previous shot, it was probably going to be all about damage limitation anyway. So let's see, the decision is about to be announced there by Barry, but it's not really looking towards the red that I mentioned, which I thought he was going to have the cue very much all over this red. And in the end, just trying to do even more damage to Williams. Not sure that's the right shot though, because as I say, when you've got the chance against someone like Williams, make sure to take it. And if you don't take it as an opportunity, then your safety better be good. And I feel like he's left a chance away to Williams. Though, got it too close to the jaws of the pocket. Needs the blue to try and help him. And he's just about got the cover of the blue. Although, as I say, it probably has worked out nicely for Hawkins. You know, felt like he left an easy red to play a safety from Williams, but didn't really work out. Got the cue ball to be too close to the jaws of the right corner. And now it leaves the red out to be taken into the left corner here. This one needs to be taken. It is going to be taken. Doesn't want to lose the cue ball though, and he hasn't lost it. Brilliant shot there. Taken really well by Hawkins. And as I say, when you turn down red like that to the middle, you need to make sure you come back with a better chance. And when you do come back with that chance, you better make sure you take it. Certainly able to take that red away nicely. And now, he's got quite a few of those reds available next to his name. So let's have a little look. He's got 8 of those, pretty much to be around the pink spot. Some of them lower, some of them slightly higher. The pink itself is going to be out of position. So I feel like Hawkins may want to be, well, just trying to keep that pink away from his spot for now, before he's going to be able to clear the position away from each and every single one of those reds. So let's see, just thinking about taking this red into the right corner. Once again, that will leave him set up nicely on the black to be taken into the left corner of the table instead. 9 points of an advantage. So try and take the black now into the left corner. Get yourself lined up to be heading that cue ball all the way to the right side cushion. I mean, try to hold this one back there, which may be tactical. And you can see the confirmation for that. Thought he was going to be looking at the red to the middle. In the end, he's going to be trying to take another red to make sure that the black is possible now into the right corner. And still, I mean, he's staying on the black. Doesn't have too many of those reds to be the horrible spot. And, you know, as much as ridiculous it will sound, it is still going to be a bit of a hidden chance now for a 147, especially at the early stage. You know, there's nothing going to be standing in between Hawkins taking 10 of those reds with a black. So if he can take 10 of those, it says he can't take all the 15 there. And of course, that's going to be something very much down the line of this frame to be thinking about. And now just try and take this red into the left corner. Get that cue ball to be bouncing away. And straight for the black again. Feels like this is going to be touch and go there, because if the cue ball is going to be aimed towards the black, ideally it wants to try and leave the white super close to those reds. So let's see the way that this is going to go there. 32 points of an advantage after the black disappears, which will equal the highest break achieved by Mark Williams. And it'll be exactly 50% of what Hawkins himself managed to achieve in the first frame. It's a good shot that he's played, but, well, he tried to get one of those reds to be away from the left side cushion. In the end, didn't really work out, but at least he's still going to be positioned nicely for one of those reds. And, well, as I say, just keep an eye on this space, because he's about to take the 5th red away. He's clearly going to be playing for the black as well here. And I feel like, you know, there is a cluster of 4 reds onto the black ball cushion, but they're still quite well spread out there in terms of they're not positioned a millimeter or a centimeter in between each other. So there is going to be a potential line for Hawkins to be taking, to be just trying to maneuver his way past those reds. Now he gets himself lined up on another easy one here to be taking. So if you take this red into the right corner, a bit of backspin once again on the cue ball to be taking this one all the way to the right side cushion. A bit of a bounce back. And yeah, clearly not going to be fussed about making a maximum here. Not even going to try and make it all the way there. Playing for the pink, which I find surprising, but, you know, it is going to be, he is 1-0 down. He had a break of 64 points in the previous frame, which didn't really help his case. And after taking the pink, he's going to be trying to get rid of that colour, put it on the brown spot. Clearly was tactical as well. And back for the black it goes. So about to make it 55 points advantage, 91 still at the table. Of course, at this stage, it is going to be more of a disadvantage there for how many blacks that he's taken, because he still needs to be taking more and more reds away from the table because of how many points he actually managed to score out of maximum 56 there. I tell you what, this is really close, and I'm a bit surprised that he's actually played for this red because of how close it is. He needs to be using the entire pocket there to make sure that this red is in. He managed to do so. Got the cannon off the red as well, and this is a really nice shot there. Well played by Barry. You know, it looked simple, and yet it clearly wasn't. You know, getting that cue ball to be lined up for the black perfectly, and as well as he did, deserves a round of applause there, which are probably going to be concentrating on the other table for now. As Robbie Williams and Jin Jun continue their battle, but the battle for the second frame probably about to be over. And the first chance that Barry was able to take in the first frame didn't really help his cause there. Break of 64 points, which he's now able to take into the second frame as well. This could be a real threat there for Barry. And from Williams' point of view, I should say. Because if he manages to take those breaks into something bigger this time around, which clearly is going to be very close to doing, a break of 71 points now, which, once again, it just makes me wonder why he's playing for that pink. You know, he could have been on 72 points right now, still 75 at the table, and potentially could have been taking this one all the way to potentially try and achieve a maximum break. In the end, certainly going to be able to win the frame here, barring snookers. 2 of those needed now for Williams. If Hawkins was to miss the black, which is about to be taken into the right corner as well. So plays for the shot into the middle. So now a century break is all we could ask from Hawkins' point of view. Still on for a break of a 1-4-6. The pink, of course, is not going to be in the way of the cue ball anymore, with it being sent onto the brown spot. Now, possible 1-4-6 and a break of 80 points there, just confirming on the graphic. 11 blacks taken. Sorry, 11 reds taken, about to take the 10th black. And he's getting himself lined up on the more difficult part of this journey. As I said, the cluster of 4 reds onto the black ball cushion. It was disrupted previously, so now it's going to be just 3 of those reds. About to take the first one, and as I say, if it just takes them one by one, yes, it is going to get more difficult, because every single red that is going to be next there after the previous one is going to be closer to the center of the black ball cushion, which just makes it a bit more of a distance for that red to travel. Hawkins just clearly having the ability to try and hold his nerve there. And still, 1-4-7 counts as probably more of a rare break in relation to 1-4-7. I've only can remember one made this season. And we're not going to have another one. We're not even going to have a century break. But it is still a wonderful break there by Barry Hawkins, especially with the position and the way that he was set up before this frame has started. It is now a break of 95 points. And it is now going to mean that Barry Hawkins has got a 1-0 lead. Not sure why there was a bit of a conversation there in between Hawkins and Williams about something. So Hawkins came back to his seat. He clearly was, just, asking a question or answering a question there from Williams' point of view. The camera hasn't picked on that, so clearly nothing too serious or dramatic. So let's have a look how the table number 2 is going to be doing, with the 2 players still trying to make it all the way to the top for themselves. Let's have a look which one of them is going to reach the quarterfinal. Jian still has a good chance to try and claw back a 41 points of a deficit that Robbie Williams has got, with 75 points at the table and 8 points to the count that he's got to himself right now. Still to see the first 50-plus break from either one of the players, but we've certainly seen a couple of those from Barry Hawkins, the breaks of 64 and 95 there. The only points that he actually scored in those 2 frames were on 2 single breaks there. Didn't have any loose reds, and whenever there was a chance that he's taken, he was able to convert it into a real frame winning opportunity. It didn't really work out in the first frame though. It was close, and Williams needed the black for him to be taking this one back to all square. And it certainly wasn't the case in frame number 2, where Williams didn't score any of those points, and it was Hawkins' domination with a break of 95 points, which now sees him over the line and looking to try and make it into a 1-3 match here. So Williams just having a bit of a look towards his cue before we're going to get the frame number 3 started and very much back underway. So let's have a look what he's going to be doing here though, because as I say, if he's going to be looking at, potentially a comfortable win, he certainly needs to be taking this frame away from Barry Hawkins, because if he leaves it all down to the wire, Hawkins has done it before, where you write him off the count and he still comes back with a great opportunity to be the one that that he's going to be the first player of the Welsh Open in 2026 to reach the quarterfinal stage, unless the match of Jian and Robbie Williams is going to end before that. So then Barry Hawkins takes the break-off shot, and the cue ball needs to be heading a bit of a cover in relation to the green, and still feels like he's managed to cover the right-hand side of the table pretty well, but the left-hand side is going to be exposed to Williams, and one of those reds is going to be available. The black is not available though, which is going to be a massive hint towards the way this frame is going to go. So potentially, if you're going to be taking this red away, which I probably wouldn't recommend Williams to be doing at this stage of the frame, you need to be playing for the blue. And, who needs my recommendation, says Williams. Brilliant shot there, cued this one super well, and manages to get himself on the score sheet. Although, the reason why, to be fair, to try and redeem myself, I was saying that this is not going to be worth it. I can't believe that he plays this shot with backspin, because, yes, it probably allows him not to be leaving any other of those reds, but he just leaves him such a difficult blue to be taking, and he's missed this one. And let's see if he's going to have anything available there to himself. And of course that makes it available to Barry Hawkins instead. Let's have a look. He was disappointed with the way that he's taken that blue, but he feels like it may have been a bit of a blessing in disguise for him because of, not really making that blue. Of course, compromises the way that the cue ball is going to be traveling. And it does look like it is just going to be a safety now from Hawkins' point of view. Looking towards a couple of those reds that he can try and take into the right part of the table, and probably just feels there's going to be a nice opportunity for him to try and take the black all the way to the right corner, though he didn't really want the black to be over the pocket because that's going to slow the pace of this frame down even more. You can see he was taking with a bit of blunt. Of course, no real hope for him to be taking that black all the way to the pocket. And now Williams is just going to be thinking about leaving this cue ball as far away from those reds as possibly can do. I'll tell you what, he hasn't really played it too good of a shot there either. So gives the turn back to Hawkins. Let's see if one of the players is going to try and explore the opportunity of trying to flick one of those reds off the right side cushion and off the black. So Hawkins may be leaving one of those reds closer to that side cushion though. Manages to get a really nice pace on the cue ball as well, to the delight of the part of the crowd. Probably are not going to be on the Tim Williams camp if you can find any of those, which is the ones acknowledging a really good snooker and a really nice shot there being played. Williams once again realizing that there's not going to be anything to lose on the left hand side of the table, and their right hand side still being covered up by the black. Just tries to find the shot of the side cushion. And I'll tell you what, this is now going to be more what I was talking about. Let's see if this red is going to be visible now to Williams, because if it is, I feel like it's just a matter of time until one of the players will just try and use the right side cushion to the extent of just heading it all the way off the black. So once again, another safety shot there that Williams decides to play. Played this one pretty well, and managing to cover up the left-hand side of the table, you'd feel. Although Hawkins once again very quick to try and just find one more of those reds, missing the ping, and sending more and more reds towards the right corner. Let's see if we're going to run out of those, and one of the players will have an advantage, or is it just going to be all down to a re-rack? And when is it actually going to happen? Another red comes begging away from the left part of the table. Williams gets a touch on the yellow, which probably doesn't really impact his performance too much. Although, I say it doesn't. You could have seen a red there potentially available for Barry Hawkins to try and play up the left-hand side. In the end, that's not going to be the case. He's now going to be, a point down, but also a shot down here, you feel. And he's thinking towards taking this the cue ball all the way to the right side cushion. I'll tell you what, it's not going to be easy for him at all, because of how fine of a margin he needs to be playing this cue balling towards for this shot to work out his way. So then, bit of power. The cue ball needs a big bounce. It's not going to make the target though. And the last thing that Hawkins wants to do is leave away a free ball. So now 4 points to be given away to Williams. And you can see an eruption of applause there towards the table too. So let's have a look what happened there. Whilst the referee tries to re-establish the cue ball in the previous position. And what happened was Robbie Williams taking the frame away from Jiang Jun. And he's now back to square one. So once again, down to the same odds. 161 for Jiang Jun, 161 for Mark Williams, 230 for the likes of Barry Hawkins and Robbie Williams here. Well, he's taking this red, but may regret it now. And, he probably would have been hoping that he missed this red now, because he got it way too thick on the face, and it's now going to give a nice little opportunity away to Mark Williams, because remember, the reason why the position is so bad right now is because of the black covering the right corner pocket. Williams, though, it doesn't seem like he's going to be, very much on the rush to be taking these straight into the middle. So, yeah, he's just thinking to try and find the perfect corridor to be seen the black because of how many reds are going to be in the way of that being the case. So clearly he's going to have a bit of a spot on his mind. Let's see if he's managed to play the shot just about as well as he wanted. It looks like he has. So you can see this black. He's going to be needing the rest shot, you would feel. The rest, I should say, to play this shot now. And, well, let's see if he's going to try and make it a hidden hope shot. Well, he didn't, but he may as well have tried to do that now, you would feel, because he got an unwanted touch on one of those reds. And I feel like that's probably going to end the break there for him. Let's see if he's got one of those reds to be taken into the left corner of the table, though. Seems to be looking that way. There is a plant right over the top of the black spot there. But still, there is going to be a bit of distance in between those reds. Played this shot pretty well. Needs a bounce to be getting in behind the yellow. And look at that for a shot. Brilliant. I mean, the applause were there on the plant. But he probably deserves double the amount on the shot that he's played in the yellow. Just about finding enough room there to be getting that cue ball on position on the right part of the yellow. And now turning it into a straightforward colour to be taking. And, well, I mean, he was complaining about the jaws previously. And he clearly feels like there was too much of a bounce there. And just as I say, played a really good shot previously. But still may put him out of the game here, as he's got 16 points of advantage. So that cue ball is going to be drifting towards the left corner of the table right now. So is he going to try and take another red into the corner? Feels like it is going to be a bit of a risky shot to be taking on, but with the position as it is now, he may as well try and do something. And he's tried to. He's still going to miss this red, and yeah, he always was going to have the cover on the cue ball, to be fair. And if anything, it feels like he was playing this shot with a safety. Just how close he got that cue ball to be to the ball cushion itself. Although I could still see a potential chance left out for Barry Hawkins. If he wants to try and, you know, get that cue ball through to the corridor of the two highest reds in the main pack, then you can try and see enough of the red to be taking that one into the right corner. Yes, the spin is going to be limited, but at least it's an opportunity there for Hawkins. And the alternative, there is always going to be a chance for him to try and just roll the cue ball off the right side. That's what he's done. The right side it is going to be, so let's see how well he's judged the pace. And I feel like he's just about managed to judge this one well enough for him not to be leaving anything out away for Mark Williams. But it's a bit of a strategy which doesn't really look to me that he's going to bring anything good there to Barry Hawkins. Because Williams clearly, if he doesn't seem to find a good chance, which he clearly didn't, he's just going to be forcing that cue ball to be heading towards the ball cushion again and just leaving Hawkins to be taking the same shot over and over until inevitably he's going to be pushing those reds to basically be over the right corner. So once again manages to block off the potential edge away. He's got plants of 3 reds, which is, you know, is worth a mention, but probably not more than that, with how much of a distance there is going to be in between those 3 reds. So just having a bit of a look to see what the decision from Barry is actually going to be there. And this time around, of course, it is going to be a bit of a different scenario because Williams didn't really manage to cover up all of these reds. And, well, I'm not sure if that was the plan for him to try and catch the red from behind. But it looks like he's managed to play the shot to the extent that he won't really leave anything out for Mark Williams, which is about as much as Hawkins can hope for. And if anything, it slows down the progress of Williams as well because, I mean, tell me a safety shot that you can try and find from now. Williams once again looking at one of those reds to be taken into the left corner. Safety success so far, 90% for Williams, 73% for Barry himself. And this is a nice shot there. Is he going to be on the brown though? Needs the brown to bounce away off the bulk. And he's just about going to be on this brown. So it's a really nice cut there that he finds. Similar to the one that he's taken in the previous time. Trying to get this break going. But this time around he's still going to be in there with a chance to try and continue the break. Doesn't really need to do anything with the way the cue ball is going to bounce away off the bulk. get himself lined up for the red into the middle. So if anything, he actually wants the cue ball to be slowing down because of the angle he's going to have on the brown there. So of course there was always going to be a chance for him to try and roll the cue ball in behind the green, but you don't really need to be using that chance when you've got an opportunity like that on the brown. Yes, this brown could be missed, but it's probably should be taking this as a real opportunity. Now he got the cue ball to be heading all the way down. As I said, if anything, it was going to be more difficult for him to be taking this one away. So I'm not too sure what the comments were made there by the referee, but it clearly wasn't a foul. So 21 points now is the advantage for Williams. So just trying to take this red away, get himself lined up for the black. He should have a couple of those easy reds coming up for him as well to try and find a 2-1 of a gap. So that he is going to have 29 points after the black here. Then he could still have 2 more reds taken by the right corner and the right middle. That brings him on to 45 points advantage. That goes, of course, without me saying that he could still have a couple more of those reds to try and choose from. And if you can't see any more of those, then there's always going to be an opportunity to try bring a couple more extra in the open play. For now, he clearly got his sights on winning the frame from this visit here, though, because he's played for the more difficult red, trying to find the path for the cue ball to be lined up on the ping, playing the shot pretty well. And once again, it's not probably the one for the cameras, but certainly one for the appreciation there for the fans, because of how important that shot is, because he manages to get the most annoying red out of the way, because of it being in the way of a couple of other reds. Also, the angle that he's got on the ping allows him to be concentrating on the positional play a bit more. Maybe has got the opportunity to try and bring that cue ball in behind one of those reds. And if he hasn't, then of course he can try and take the red by the right corner as well. And yeah, playing it behind super well there. This is going to be a great opportunity for Williams to be turning a super difficult position around and very much make it a 2-1 advantage there against Hawkins. So break of 21 points. So still a bit bizarre that he got himself 108 points scored, about to make it 114 without getting over the break of 32 points previously in the 2.5 frames that we've seen him play now. But as I say, a couple of easy reds, if you take the second one, which I call by the right corner, you should have another couple freed up with a potential plan there to be taking. When I mentioned that Hawkins could have taken the 3-ball plans, at that point I said it's only worth a mention because of it being in a straight line. Because of the distance, it wasn't really worth taking on. But if you take one of those reds away, the one that has got the most distance in between those reds, then all of a sudden you should be in with a great chance of, Hawkins not coming back to the table until it is going to be the start of the 4th frame. Of course, there's not going to be any sort of breaks in between here with the way that first to 4 matches work. Another red comes disappearing into the left middle this time around. So once again, the plan that I was talking about, Williams is able to take a red by red. First one disappears into the middle. Plays the cue ball in behind those reds. Probably a bit slow on and low on the pace there. So still, finally, he's about to take the least difficult red away into the right corner. And then he only needs one more. That's going to be a frame there. Once again, the second one, which you'll see very much a frame, win to 0. Hawkins had that previously with his rake of 95 points. Williams is about to make it, once again, advantage to his own self. And, yeah, 60 points of advantage. Probably unhappy with the way. He's going to have to try and breach over the blue. Well, that's probably going to be the last chance there for this one to go wrong and for Williams to try and find it, for Hawkins to try and find his way back to the table. The ping to be taken, well, quite awkward, as I say, hand placement before the blue. So cue this one well, and then you should still have a great chance of potting the red. And nice way that he manages to recover. 66 points now is going to be the advantage. So the break of 50 plus there for the first time that we see one from Williams. The 3rd one in the match. So now about to take this red away into the right corner, which will leave Barry Hawkins to be needing 2 snookers. That's certainly going to be the case, and Hawkins has no way back in this particular frame. It is Williams with a perfect answer to their form-finding Hawkins in the previous frame. It is now very much advantage back to the Welshman, and it's him that has got the chance to be taking this pink all the way to the left corner, and cuts this one in nicely. It's still going to be lined up for the Reds. Well, now it is going to be down to a potential century break in the making, but with how difficult the remaining 3 Reds after this one are going to be, that was always the advantage for Williams, because of how difficult it must have been for Hawkins to try and make his way back on this frame. Instead, now it is going to be a break of 58 points, which probably is going to end after this pink, although he gave himself a chance to try and disrupt those Reds, and well, he may still have an opportunity to be taking one of them into the yellow pocket there, as he gets the cue ball to be right in the mix of the 3 of them. And then all of a sudden, from that point, you have to say, the century chance will be a reality. He's trying to hammer that red into the pocket, so, I mean, all of a sudden, it is now the black that needs to be taking into the left corner, then the blue, slightly out of position, but apart from that, it should still be a fantastic chance for a century break. The black is taken, so pretty much just one issue there, standing in between Williams and making the century, and it's still going to be the issue, which is going to be quite far down the line. That blue is going to be the shot for the century, if he gets this far out. Still super an impressive break there, for him to be taking 11 Reds here. 4 blacks, 5 pinks, 1 brown as well. Rattles the black home and about to maybe make a bit of damage to the blue. He was trying to bring that one into play, but got the wrong side of it, so it doesn't really make a difference here. As he makes a break of 81 points here. About to make it 88. And to get that cue ball across all the way towards the yellow. As I say, he manages to take the last 2 Reds quite easy. With the way that he managed to get the 3rd one, very much far from easy, into the yellow pocket. So now try and take the yellow into its own pocket there. Get himself lined up on the green and the brown, which shouldn't really be an issue. And then it is going to be down to just a shot for the century. And maybe a fantastic 1:15 of a clearance. Man City fans will be saying hi to that. A break of 93 points here for Williams. And taking his round into the green pocket. Getting that cue ball to maybe bounce away off the right side. Trying to get that blue to be taken along the cushion. And in the end, it's still a chance there. Could have been better, but also, you know, he could have not had a shot at this blue at all. Now then, just take it along the side cushion. And is it going to be a century break? It certainly is going to be. And it's Mark Williams that has got the perfect answer to the break of 95 points there from Hawkins. It is now going to be the ping to be taken into the left middle, or he tried to take that one with absolutely full power. And look at that for a fluke, the most magical fluke that you could possibly dream about. Mark Williams going to be smiling about it. And look at that for a finish as well. It is going to be, after all, a 1:15, the most ridiculous clearance you will ever see on a snooker table, from how it started and how it ended there. For Mark Williams, 115 points. And what a fluke it was on the pink. Certainly deserved after all the hard work that he's done. And it's Mark Williams now that leads Barry Hawkins by 2 frames to 1. And once again, it is advantage Williams. And it's a great chance for Mark to be taking this one all the way. And very much away from Barry here. So if you take it all the way towards the potential decider there in the making, could still be a great chance for, you know, Hawkins to be doing something about it. In the meantime, it still is going to be Williams 2 frames away there from reaching the quarterfinal stage. So let's see how far away he's going to be able to get away with that one. And once again, Gian John is just replicating the way that the performance of Mark Williams is going against Barry Hawkins. Now it's going to be 125 for both Williams and John to try and take it into the fourth round here, really, but with it being the quarterfinal stage as well. 166 for either one of them to be winning those frames, and 2.10 for either Barry Hawkins and Robbie Williams. So it could still be a very interesting shout there for either Barry Hawkins and Robbie Williams to make a comeback, or it could still be very much a dominant performance for Mark Williams or Barry Hawkins' camp here as well. So, yeah, just looking at the way this is going to go towards Williams, then you have to be pointing out the fact of, you know, you need this sort of breaks to get you started on those great breaks there. But in the same time, you need to be making sure that those breaks are actually going to be transitioned into something bigger so that, you know, you get this chance away. And at the same time, you get yourself lined up nicely with those opportunities to be taken there. So just waiting for the 4th frame to begin. And just thinking about the way that Williams needs to try and approach this one. Once again, do exactly the same thing that he's done in the previous couple of frames. Make sure he puts Hawkins under pressure. And what we've certainly seen is that when there is pressure, Hawkins doesn't really have the answer to that. And seems to just, well, spend that remaining part of the frame in his chair. Had to go for a bit of a bottom break as well. And hopefully for himself, we'll be seeing a bit more of him in the 4th frame. As he tries to avoid being 3-1 down there to Williams and leaving an opening chance for Mark to be taken certainly himself into the quarterfinal stage. For now, it's the 4th frame about to get started, and it's Mark Williams once again with a break-off shot to come his way. So far, whoever's taken the break-off shot has gone on to lose a frame with the previous 3 of those. And this certainly looks to be pretty good there from Williams, especially if he gets the brown to be covering up the only dangerous red, which could have been taken there by Hawkins, but Barry didn't seem to have too much of a long look towards that red. And now it's all going to be down to just not leaving a chance away to Williams, getting those reds to be heading into the main pack, right under the pink, and needs the cue ball to pick up the pace slightly for it to wander in behind the green. Just about manages to do there. So may still put a bit of pressure back onto Williams. Just depends on what can he actually see from here. And the answer seems to be can't see much because of the green being in the way. And yeah, if you miss the contact on the blue, you should still have a pretty good opportunity to be heading the cue ball all the way to the left side. Now then bounce this one away off 2 cushions and perfectly judged pace once again there. I feel like we haven't really seen any foul shots to be given away. I feel like there was one of them where Hawkins, well, it wasn't really a foul shot because he missed the contact on the red that he wanted to, but he caught it on the way up to the table. So yeah, I feel like it's been a very clean game there. No fouls being made so far, even at the end of the frames where we've seen, you know, Mark Williams do that sometimes. So the cue ball is going to be heading all the way to the top part of the table. And it's now going to be a chance presented to Williams because he didn't really manage to get this one too close to the bowl cushion. So let's see if Mark is going to be taking this one all the way into the right corner. He had a look at the position of the black, which is only going to be available now to be taken into the right corner. Still something for you to consider when you take those shots on. Of course, he's got another red, which is going to be, by me, classified as a more difficult one. And he's missed that one by a bit of a distance. Let's see where this red is going to finish. He's going to finish very much available to Barry Hawkins there, right next to the brown spot. And he was always going to be the more difficult pot, which had the easier positional play on the blue. In the end, didn't work out at all there for Williams. And the same red is now going to be available for Barry to be taking. Once again, he's managed to come back from being a frame down once. He says he can't do it twice in a row here. And then maybe on the frame number 5, finally able to put himself ahead in this match for the first time. So then taking this blue into the left middle. About to play this cue ball all the way down the table as well. And to get himself lined up on the red to be taken. Match time about to reach over an hour. So still very quick times there. 3 frames, pretty much 20 minutes, especially the way that those frames have been taken already. You have to say that's pretty quick for what we've seen in those 3 frames. One of them to go all the way to the distance, and then the other 2 having very difficult ways for you to go on about the business for that position. But at the same time, Hawkins and Williams were able to produce breaks of 95 and 115 points. As Hawkins now takes the black into the right corner, you can see the highest break being 95 and 115. So Hawkins just going to be focusing on trying to take this red all the way into the left middle. Try and slow the cue ball enough there. Pot success is actually going to be a stronger attribute for Barry Hawkins, but I feel like that's going to have the direct correlation with Williams having 2 of those frames won. You know, therefore you play more of those shots, therefore you miss more of them at the same time. And now Barry, I mean, surprisingly for me, he clearly feels like he can get through to this ping. And another camera angle certainly confirms that now. And he should still have a reasonable chance here to be getting some good points to try and get himself back to square one and make it very much a Championship League-like scoreline. 2 frames each. About to take the raid into the right corner. Play this one through the cue ball. Get himself lined up for the black to be taken into the left corner again. The pink has gone on the brown spot. Not for the first time when Barry Hawkins been at the table to the break. And remember, every single time he's done that, he's either scored 64 points or 95 previously. So every single time he's got a break of 60 plus there to speak of himself. Let's see who's he going to be this time around, because he's just taken the black. Manages to get a couple of reds out of the way of the cue ball. Just needs to make sure he can actually see the one that he was playing for previously. The answer seems to be positive. So just take this one away. Once again, block all the cue ball power for it to just to be drifting away on the left-hand side of the black. And now 30 points is very much going to be the advantage. So if you take this one with a cue ball, play it all the way towards this red to be taken to the left part of the table as well. Now 37 points is going to be the advantage here for Hawkins. And if you take this red away, you should still get yourself in a reasonable chance to be taking the black into the right corner with having the angle to force the cue ball to be heading into the back of reds. Although it is once again decision time there for Barry, as you want to take 2 more reds away with the cue ball without needing to risk anything. With a break of 45 points, that gives you 61 points for advantage, so it could still be a reasonable gap to be taking. And then you can always try and leave that cannon till last, or you can try and get yourself 2 more options there in terms of 2 more reds available to be taking if this pack split to go wrong. And in the end, can't really blame him, but he's taken the option of clearing those 2 reds away first, at least one of them. You know, you have to wait and see if he's going to do the same thing with the second one. Now I can tell you that he will, because he's not going to have any sort of angle on the black. So clearly committed to having 61 points of a break, unless he plays for the blue after the next red, and then just try and take it into the bunch of reds right here, right now. Could still be the incredible for now, because, you know, so far, every single frame, no, not every single frame, but we've seen 3 breaks of Barry Hawkins of 60 plus there. And yet, well, with this one is to be another one as well. Certainly 50 plus there, as he takes a break of 53 points. And he could still somehow find himself only being level on the score sheet because of the 32 points of a break in the first frame by Williams. And then, of course, the wonderful century that he made in the 3rd frame as well. To add to that count, takes the red nicely. Needs a big bounce on the cue ball though. Wants it to be alongside the black. And he's played this shot absolutely perfectly to give himself the best possible chance to be taking the black now into the right corner. Then force that cue ball to be catching those reds from underneath. And he needs to be making sure that he plays this one with real power. He doesn't have to worry about getting that cue ball to be on the bulk part of the table. And he's certainly not going to do that there. Brilliant shot there. Well played by Barry. And he's now only a couple of shots away from making this his frame for the taking again. Getting back that score sheet to being a draw. So 2 frames each. Not for the first time in the match. Played it for the pink. So, because I didn't really make a massive shout out to him going for a potential 140 break, which is still on there. If he's going to be taking this pink into the yellow pocket, he could still be on for a potential 1-4-2 there, but it doesn't really matter because he's about to take the yellow. Clearly focused on winning this frame first, but you know, I feel like he was focused a bit more on finding the perfect angle to try and drop the cue ball in behind the red to try and take it into the yellow pocket as well. So he knows that he's going to be taking this red now into the yellow pocket. Then he's got a chance to be taking the pink the brown or the blue. Either one of them will get him over the line in terms of points that he needs for for Williams to be against snooker. And then he'll be 70 points advantage, 67 points at the table. Though he's kind of done himself a bit dirty there. He hasn't played for the pink. He hasn't got the brown available, so he needs to be taking the blue, which he doesn't really have the perfect position or play for either. And, well, I mean, as I say, I'm not sure what he needs to do here, because if he's got a red available, he needs to be taking the brown. But if he hasn't got a red available, he needs to be taking the blue. Because, yes, it's a bit of a risk, but it's a risk worth taking on, because if you take this brown on, and he seems to have caught himself exactly in between two mines a couple of times there, that he's just been running in between, taking either blue or brown. In the end, he's taken the brown, which for me is a bit of a surprising shot there, because the brown is about to go onto the pink spot, which Barry clearly would have been aware about. So now he's one snooker needed for Mark Williams, but still very surprised that Hawkins is happy to get him very much back to the table here. Especially with it only being one snooker in it. There's always going to be a chance. And let's see, what is he going to be from Williams? So Hawkins, of course, will be disappointed. You know, it's another break of 64 points plus. This time around, he's going to be 69 that he scores. 67 still at the table. So Williams, you feel like he's going to go for this raid with a long raid now. And then if he misses it and leaves it away to Hawkins, it is going to be frame conceded. So he hasn't really left it on the plate, but you could still see this one being taken into the green pocket. With a long shot, Williams clearly not going to try and wonder will it save you too much. He's going to be in there to be trying to take a chance away, and then if he doesn't, then it was his frame to lose anyway. And Hawkins might have done exactly the opposite though, of playing a safe shot. He's tried to take that raid into the green pocket, and well, whatever you do there, Williams, he's going to be looking at the scoreboard. He needs to be playing this one for the black. Otherwise, he's going to be in trouble. 33% for both Williams and Hawkins when it comes to their long shots there. I mean, he wants to avoid the kiss on the blue, and he didn't, so this could be a frame over. He needs the pink to be taken here, and then he needs all the remaining reds to be taken with the black, but looks like he may be forced to be taking the blue, which is not going to be an ideal case for him anyway, because in that case he can only tie if he finds that snooker, and 4 points to be given away from Hawkins' camp. So let's see what he's going to try and do. He can't be playing a safety shot off the pink, so he must be trying to take this one into the green pocket, but it's a super difficult angle, and also the way that he needs to be positioning that cue ball and the rest doesn't make it any nicer for him. So Hawkins will know before anyone if the pink is going to be in, and he certainly will be. So it's a good shot that he's played. You know, dropping that pink in nicely. Still gives himself a chance, and of course, technically, it doesn't really matter if you take the pink or the black on the first of those reds, as long as you take the remaining 4 with the black. It's still going to be 3 points that are missing there. This is what I said. You know, Hawkins needed to be over the line with the chance that he had. And he's just about seems to be on the edge there of the way that this match could still go. Especially if Williams manages to get into a similar sort of form that got him those couple of snookers that he was missing against Martin O'Donnell. And of course, I felt like he was exactly in this frame there. It was a frame number 4. Williams had advantage of 3 frames to 0. And O'Donnell in the end was able to pot the pink, despite Williams finding those snookers. So taking this black in nicely, once again, has got the cue ball to travel all the way down the table. So the only problem now, that probably is going to be the difference in between Williams getting an easy snooker and not getting that, is going to be that he's got the perfect situation of pink and brown to be super close to each other, right next to the pink spot, and you feel like you could get a really difficult snooker in behind them. So this is now going to be decision time for Williams. What can he try and do from here? Because he can't be taking the risk of playing that raid. So either he needs to be taking that raid into the open play, which doesn't seem like an ideal case scenario either. So he's trying to, well, a bit of a weird shot that he's taken there. So let's see what the decision is going to be. Is he going to be a double? So he clearly is going to be playing the double here. into the left middle. And it's all going to be down to playing one last red into the pocket. This is close, but it's not quite close enough. And the red was always going to be drifting away. So Hawkins is now going to have a chance to take another red into the corner pocket. And of course, that will leave a chance very much to come begging there from Williams' point of view. And it is going to be back to all square and a draw of 2 frames each. And just about there. Caught the minor part of the front jaw there, Hawkins, but didn't really sort of compromise him too much. The red still dropped in, and it's now going to be 2 frames each there, certainly in the making. Felt like that was opportunistic from Williams because it would have put him probably as the favourite had he managed to execute that double. And yeah, clearly not going to be a lot of the decision there being made by Hawkins. He's just able to take 5 points away from Williams. And it's now going to be Mark Williams 2, Barry Hawkins 2 as well. So back to all square again. And let's see if it is going to be the exact repeat of the last first of 4 match that they've played in the English Open in 2022. Where Williams managed to win that match 4 frames to 2. Still could be the possibility if one of those players is going to be able to take the remaining 2 frames away. In the meantime, it is back to all square after the first 4 frames that we've played. And it does look like, for the first time, it is going to be a chance for Jiang John to break the sequence. And Robbie Williams looks like he's going to be chasing a 3-1 of a deficit on his way to the first quarterfinal appearance of this season. I feel like Jiang John doesn't really have that on his record either. So it is going to be very much the battle of the underdogs. Robbie Williams being outside of the top 50. And if you want the exact rankings, then I can tell you that Jiang John is going to be the world number 81. Robbie Williams is currently sitting as the world 56 as well. So let's see the way that this is going to go. And Jiang could still find himself very much playing either Weiser or David Grace. Very much at the top part of that draw. Mark Williams and Barry Hawkins will be playing either Jack Jones and or Neil Robertson. And then Joey Long, Sam Craig match will play the winner of Zhang Anda against John Higgins. And then, as I say, Shoutington against Sean Bingham. He's going to be playing either Jackson Page or Jack Lascelles here. So still got a couple of underdogs. A couple of Welsh players as well, with Page and Williams being very much the ones to stand out. And then you have got the likes of underdogs, as I say, of Robbie Williams, potentially Sam Craig, putting that equation as well. And Jiang John looking to be very much turning this one around and getting himself into a 3-1 lead there against Robbie Williams on his way to reaching his first ranking event quarterfinal this season. Mark Williams then ready to, well, get the 5th frame started. Of course, it will be a break-off shot by Barry Hawkins, but still, the sequence remains to be true there. Whoever breaks off seems to be losing the frame here. And on the opening 4 of those occasions, that certainly was the case. Now then, is the sequence going to be broken finally? And are we going to see Barry Hawkins to be leading in this match at last? For him to be taking a 3-2 of a lead? Or is it going to be Mark Williams? And you can see on the score sheet, he's got a 23 points of a head start. So that certainly will help. Don't know why. But that's certainly going to be the thing showing there to the viewers. And on BBC Sport. And you can see this cue ball just heading all the way back down to the lower part of the table. And yeah, you can see they're about to fix it there, clearly realising that given a head start of 23 points in favour of Mark Williams. And Hawkins himself, well, he's not going to be happy about that, of course, but he's just going to be heading that cue ball towards the top part of the table. Although, he doesn't want a big bounce here, and he is going to get a bit of a big bounce. So, is it going to be a chance available here to Williams to be taking this red all the way into the right middle? As you can see, the scoreboard is fixed just about in time. Is the red going to be pass it into the corner? It will be into the middle, I should say. Now, he needs the cue ball to slow down before it goes, well, in an unplayable position to be taking either the yellow or brown. And I'll tell you what, this is going to be far from ideal because it's a chance, but it's not an easy one there that Williams has got ahead of himself. And, I mean, let's see if it's going to be worth to be taking this yellow all the way to the right corner of the table. on his spot there. I mean, the brown is probably technically the easier pot, but it's impossible for you to be playing this shot with a roll and getting himself to be lined up for the red as well. I mean, he's going to try it. I feel like it's a bad mistake, but he is going to try it. Brown is just about going to be dropping in, and I tell you what, he's played this one really well, Williams, because he had probably about, a fraction of a room to try and play this cue ball so that this red was going to be potable without needing to apply loads of backspin. He certainly managed to do that, and, well, he's going to be right in between the blue and the black here again, which doesn't really help with the pink being out of position. So then take the blue into the middle. And then we're going to have to wait and see what happens with the next couple of reds. He's taking the blue. And he's clearly been playing for the red into the middle. And for once, it looks like the bounce of the cushion wasn't really enough there. So it leaves him in a bit of a spot of bother again. But it should be getting easier from this point onwards. Although there's not really a certified guarantee that he's going to be issued there by anyone. So then let's see how well he's played this shot. He's played it super well. And it's a fantastic shot there from Williams, because he manages to get the red into the middle. Still should be positioning himself nicely for the black, which is going to make the shot even better for him. But even if he's going to be taking the pink, it should still be, well, I mean, it's a fine margin that, because if you take the black, it's a no problem brainer for you to be taking onto the next red. But if you're taking the pink on with the angle that you got yourself positioned with, you could still get stuck in between those reds. And now then, he's able to take the black in, and he should be back to a very much advantage to Williams. He's played some great shot at the start of this break, and he's now very much looking to try and replicate the performance of the third frame there. Get himself lined up with another gap of, 100 points or something like that. Another total clearance in the making. As he takes the black into the left corner nicely. So as I say, the reason why I say it's total clearance is because as much as it probably doesn't benefit Williams at this stage of the frame, all of these reds are going to be super far away from the cushions, and that leaves a chance of actually making all of those 15 reds with a single break there. But of course, it also leaves a chance away that if you miss any one of those blacks or reds, then your opponent will step up back to the table with a really good opportunity to be taking this frame away from you and getting himself to be into that 3-2 of a lead. But for now, Williams to be very much clinical so far in this performance. Now playing for the pink here, clearly tactical, for him to be having the perfect angle on the next couple of reds, which you'll have to choose from. So about to just take this one clearly with no extra power, making sure that he's played this one for the right corner instead, leaving the easier red to be taken after the shot. Now he's going to have a look to see if the pink is going to be potable into the left corner. Once again, it is going to be a bit of a tiptoe, and yet another frame where Barry Hawkins is going to, well, look for an opportunity there, look for a mistake here really from Williams. We've seen that in the opening frame. He wasn't really able to take that one away though, but ever since it's all been very much one-sided frames there from each of those two players in the making. Now 43 points, the advantage for Williams, about to take the pink into the left corner as well. Then get himself lined up for the red to be taken into the left corner here. So 49 points of advantage. And yeah, just play this shot into the red and just make sure you don't do anything silly there. I don't really want to see him play that big bounce of the black. Just needs to try and hold it for the most expensive colour. That's exactly what he's done. Getting quite close to it, but not too close to be compromising himself. So no, let's have a look. He probably is going to be playing shot to try and split the pack here. He's got just about enough of the angle on the black for him to be forcing that cue ball down into the table. And then he should be lined up on one of those reds. He doesn't seem to be happy about it though. He's played a decent shot. He's managed to find the perfect angle to try and get one of those reds to the top part of the table. Still would expect him to be taking this red on. Not too sure what the delay is all about. Yeah, I mean, like, it looks like it's not quite as difficult as it makes it look there, because, yes, I know it's awkward, but this red surely should be taken there. Though you can see the body language of Williams as he tries to position his hand over the paint clearly. It looks a lot simpler than it actually is there. So 57 points advantage. It's not quite going to be enough there. 2 more reds. And he may well have been the case there. Instead, he's going to need the spider. And he needs to try and learn how to fly there. Because once again, it's 80% of the table for him to try and reach over. May be able to do it off the left side. But not really doing that with the spider. So decision time that for Williams. This could be the point where this frame and therefore the match slips away from him. Or it could be putting the break very much to be the firm hand. An extension needed there. And, well, it's about as much of an extension as you can add on the cube. Pretty much doubling its size. Well, I tell you what. I said it wasn't as difficult as it looked and as he made it look. But when you add the spider, when you add the fact that you're bridging over the pink. And when you need the highest extension possible, which you put over another extension. And you've taken pretty much 2 minutes on this shot. You certainly have to say there's a couple of questions there to be asked. Although, I mean, listen, if it was that difficult, William should have been taking the red into the green pocket. Probably it is going to be awkward, but he should still be expected to get this red into the right corner. But let's wait and see. The wait time is almost over. He got all the tools. Now, does he have the chance to be taking this one away? He can't be reaching there, you would seem, so has to be doing it from the side. And still, there seems to be not a lot of confidence there. So the referee just being asked there to move out of the way. So a bit of a weird one. Don't really see that very often, but in the end, it all... Well, wait for the cue ball. Wait for the cue ball. I was about to say, it all ends well. What ends well, and it's a break of 57 points. Which in the end sees Mark Williams to pot the red after all that waiting time, but drops the cube alongside it. So it's a break of 57 points, which he scores. And now it is going to be looking to the heavens there from Williams. Maybe he was looking to the scoreboard, to be fair. 53 points now is going to be the difference. 83 at the table. 75, I should say, because of course, the red being eliminated. So let's have a look. The way that Hawkins is going to be dealing with this one. You know, if he takes this shred away, it should still be a fantastic opportunity for him to be taking this one all the way and away from Williams. And well, this could be a massive thing in the making there from Barry Hawkins, because now he's got 67 points available at the table. And well, Williams was taking all that time on the shot, and all he had to do in the end was to miss the side cushion. He couldn't quite make that stick. And now it's advantage Barry Hawkins there, because he is very much the player at the table. He's got a couple of difficult reds to try and make his way through, but at least he got himself in with a chance. Trying to spread those reds away from each other. Has he managed to get himself on these shreds? I mean, if he has, he managed to solve 4 issues with a single shot there. And it feels like he just about can get through to the cue ball. Try and get this red to disappear into the right corner as well. I mean, I say, once again, it's one of those shots that looks simple, but because of how important it is going to be for Hawkins to be applying a bit of spin, still needs to be getting this one to be absolutely spot on, and he's managed to do so. So got the cue ball away from the captivity of those reds. Now positioning himself nicely for the blue to be taking, and well, let's see the way that this is going to go now. If the blue is about to disappear, then the cue ball should be drifting all the way down the table. May even be having too much of the angle, so needing to use the black ball cushion was no surprise. Now he finds himself 39 points behind, so he's still not going to be having any of those issues with the points. He just needs to be taking those 4 reds with a total clearance there. And once again, another chance for it to be a break of 60 plus there from Barry. For it to be the 4th one that he makes in this match. 64, 69 and 95 there that he's made previously. And you can see once again the replay. And it was a bit of a weird one because, as I say, the way that the cue was heading towards the left side cushion, it was always going to look like, you know, he's going to catch at least one of those side cushions there, whether he was going to miss the pocket or whether he was going to get towards the closer side of it. In the end, neither of those options were the case. And the cue ball has gone all the way for it to be dropped into the left middle itself. Hawkins still had an awful lot to do for him to be taking that red away and trying to pot it into the right corner. He was able to do so, and from that point onwards, especially after fantastic clearance and the pack split that he had off the black, that has allowed him to be getting the break of 39 points here, with 35 still at the table after the black is going to disappear into the right corner. All the colours are going to be on the spots. The last of the remaining reds is certainly going to be in the open play as well, so it shouldn't be anything standing in between Barry Hawkins and a break of, well, 60 plus points here certainly, because he's going to need the black, it would seem, for it to be taken all the way, as he takes the red nicely. Ideally wants to play for the blue, and he clearly had the angle to do that. Wonderfully positioned once again. So then, it all comes down to a 6-ball clearance for a 3-2 of a gap, to be very much Barry Hawkins's for the taking. And once again, you can see where he all started with a brilliant long shot, cued super well by Hawkins to be taking that red all the way into the right corner. And Williams there wasn't really something that you should be doing when your opponent is looking right at you. Yeah, just, a bit of a faithful, but maybe I'm overreacting there. Now that Hawkins is going to be down to the last 5 of those reds, 5 of those colours I should say. Taking the green into its own pocket. And then just about to be a position for the brown. So he will need the pink and the blue for him to be winning this match. So he won't really need a total clearance, but I feel like something that he should still be doing for the fans. Especially if he wants to keep that streak of, whenever he comes to the table, he seems to have a break of 60 plus points in the making. Still yet to have one of those loose points. Loose breaks of just a single point scored there. You can see that the way it is on total points scored, it has been a very even match so far, but this is going to be the perfect chance for Barry Hawkins to be taking revenge from Mark Williams for the first frame, and he's not going to bother with the black, and in the end it's still going to be the break of 62 points, which sees him over the line in frame number 5. And now for the first time in the match, we are going to witness Barry Hawkins in the lead, as he's got a 3-2 gap to Mark Williams. Williams needs to be taking both of the remaining frames for him to be heading into the quarterfinal stage. For now, it is Hawkins that has got the advantage, but does he have what it takes for him to be all the way and over the line in the making as well? For the time being, let's have a look how the table number 2 is doing. 3-1 of a lead for Jian John. Robbie Williams is down a single point as well. In the 5th frame, only one 50 plus break that we've seen in that match, and we've seen 4 of those from Barry, as I say, all of them to be 60 plus as well. 2 of those breaks have been 50 plus from Mark Williams, so obviously the one that he's just made, 57, didn't really do a lot of damage to Barry Hawkins in the end. And then the break that was double, the points tally that he scored in this frame, 115, the only century that we've seen in the last 16 matches so far, though we only had a couple of those to be played. And yeah, it's a really nice way that, Hawkins was able to find himself out of danger zone, and now he positions himself quite close to getting himself over the line and into the quarterfinal stage. So let's see if it is going to be only one more frame needed for him to be over the line, or is it going to be something more of a difference there? So let's see how is it actually all going to end there. Robbie Williams, by the way, still spending loads of time in his chair, but it looks like he's actually managed to play a really difficult safety there for Jian John to try and find his way out of. Let's have a look if he's going to be able to get through to another red to be taken into the left middle. Williams, as I say, he was very close to getting himself over the line for a 3-2 of a gap. And in the end, the split of the pack that he's played didn't really play it. When does Wilson start? Doesn't start anyway. I'm not even going to ask about which Wilson, because both of them are going to be out. Gary Wilson has been eliminated by Sam Craig, and Karen Wilson has been eliminated by Joey Long. Both of them, same scoreline, 4 frames to 1. So Wilson's start probably is going to be in the World Open in 3 weeks' time. For now, he's going to be certainly the start of the 6th frame, as it is Mark Williams to break off. And finally, for the first time, we've seen a player break off and still win the same frame there. as Hawkins is able to get that deficit of 2 frames to 1 over turns, and now leading by 3 frames to 2 here as well. So then Barry is going to have to try and find a gap to squeeze that cue ball. So be seeing those reds on the lower part of the table. Doesn't look like that's going to be a difficult shot in the making, because there seems to be enough of a gap for the cue ball to travel down the table, and then of course a bit of extra side spin that you can add. He's going to force the cue ball to be heading all the way and very much towards the gap of being between the yellow and the brown, although once again could have done without leaving a red available to the right corner. Williams is certainly going to be taking this one on. Safety success 92% for Williams, 78% for Hawkins, but it all seems to be down to those opportunities not taken there from Williams. Long putt success 43%, and it's about to go down though, because Williams has missed his chance there. 38% now is going to be over to 33% there from Barry Hawkins. Putt success 88% from Williams, 95% from Barry Hawkins here as well. The highest break, as you can see on your screen, 95 for Barry and 115 for Mark. Has he left a plan though available into the right corner? He has, and Hawkins is about to take it as well. So then it's the first real chance that Barry's going to have to see himself as the first quarter-finalist here at the Welsh Open. Let's see which way is he going to go though. Is it going to be the perfect scenario once again there for Hawkins, or is it going to be, well, at least one of those breaks to stumble and not be going over the edge of 60 plus points that he scored in every single time he came to the table and potted the first red? Black is going to be in. Is he going to be on the red? He certainly will be. So limited in terms of his options to try and get from here, but from that point onwards, it should still be a really nice way for him to be getting that cue ball to be on the black for the next couple of reds. Average break, as you can see, 59 points for Hawkins, which doesn't really make sense, and I feel like this has taken this break into account as well, which is not fair. And prior to this, he has to be a lot higher than that. Positional success 90% for Barry, 87% for Mark Williams. And you can see that the average break of Mark Williams has been 33 points, something that, not going to say it's a dreadful stat, and on a couple of those occasions didn't really have too much to do with it, but still probably would expect him to be doing better in the last 16 of a match. So then Hawkins to be taking the black away into the left corner, go really deep onto the cue ball and get himself positioned for the right side cushion to be taking. Now 16 points is going to be the advantage here for Hawkins, and as I say, he's got one last red that he's going to be on, and then he needs to try and find the perfect split off the blue to be getting at least a couple more of the 12 remaining at the table to be in open play and available for him to try and pot. Now then, which one is he going to be? Is he going to try and hold it for the black? He's tried to do it for the blue. I mean, I always felt like it was going to be a weird angle that he had on the previous red. So does he have what it takes now to be forcing this cue ball all the way into the reds? He might have to do it from the cushion, but ideally, he wants to try and play this one straight into the pocket. Oh, he nearly got the red to be potted alongside the blue. But has he managed to line himself on anything? Well, that red was getting super close to be dropping into the left corner alongside the blue, as I say. But in the end, it's gone quite far away from the pocket for this one not to be playable. But this just looks like one of those matches where it's going to take a miracle at this stage for Williams to stop Barry Hawkins because of how well he's been playing. And also, he's got full control of the position. He's played a brilliant shot there in the making. Now he's still going to be lined up on the blue. The black is going to be available to the right corner. The pink is out of position, but only for, a couple of shots time before he takes the red away right next to the pink, which probably is going to be about now. And then, yeah, it is probably down to 105 for Barry Hawkins to be winning the match, and 110 probably for him to be the frame winner here because of how well he's played, because of him having 29 points of advantage, and also because of the way that he's managed to get those reds to be split away from each other. Really good performance that from Barry so far, and he could be about to make it even better with a win. And as far as I'm aware, Not going to put my money on that, but it is going to be his first quarterfinal appearance in the ranking event for a while. Certainly didn't do that in the Home Nation series that I can think of. And yeah, it looks like it is going to be the first time in the making this season. Of course, still could be a dark horse for the title. You know, Jack Jones against Neil Robertson is not going to be close, but if he gets Mark Williams out of the way, very much the home favourite, then it says he can't do that to another Welshman. Or very much the man from down under. 37 points advantage though, as he takes another black into the corner, makes that 44 points. So incredible consistency there, shown by Hawkins, about to make it, well, a potential charge for 400 points scored in the 6 frames that he's played, with one of them being very much without any points scored at all. Should still be a fantastic performance there for him. Take another easy red into the corner. So getting himself on a couple more of those now. He's taken all the ones that he had available into the right corner. He should be able to play the cue ball through the gap and get himself on lined up for one of those reds to be taken into the left corner instead. You can see incredible pot success. 94 in the first 4 frames, 66 out of 70 shots that he's taken have all been successful, and frames 5 and 6, 31 out of 31 there. So incredible 100% stat there of a pot success. So very much trying to do something similar to the performance of Chang Min Yu. Didn't really happen because it needed 4 perfect century breaks. Can only dream about one of them if he takes his frame all the way. Overplayed for the black though. He needs to try and steady the ship here with the cue ball. And well, wanted to avoid being stuck to one of those reds. But at least he got the black in. Now it's another break of 60 points, as I say. So that's going to be getting this cue ball down to try and hit those reds. Ooh, this is quite nasty, the position that he's got. Once again, the perfect scenario would have been for him to try and get the red away from the paint quite quickly, and then have the paint very much available to him. Right now, it's going to be all down to either playing for the blue or for the black, but the way for you to play for the blue is not really going to be a possibility. So he needs to try and hold it for the black, and he's attempted to hit the shot about 5 or 6 times there. It's back down every single time of it. Williams is going to sense that this is going to be the last shot where he can go wrong for Hawkins. Otherwise, it is going to be the dream of the Welsh Open being his for the taking, very much out of the picture. The red should be in. The contact on the paint was made, but he's still going to be on the black. And I said this was the last chance where he could have gone wrong, and he clearly is not going to go wrong now, as he's got himself positioned really nicely here. Pot success 96% there, 100 out of 104 shots that he's taken. And rest pot success, well, perfect, 1 out of 1 there. Long pot success, 2 out of 4. So we're about to make it, well, maybe even better there on the pot success point of view. 101 out of 105 there. And Williams should certainly be preparing to pack the cue there, pack the extension, and pack himself for heading all the way to the World Open. And yeah, his campaign at the Welsh Open seems to be over, because it's 69 points of advantage for Hawkins, and he certainly has been a perfect performance from his camp. He can't really say he had any one of those things to be worried about. You can go back to this miss in the previous frame. It could have been a 3-2 of a gap in favour of Mark Williams, but could have been. Doesn't really work out, especially if you look at the way that he's managed to take the opening frame away. Probably the only point in the match where you've seen Hawkins to be struggling. From that point onwards, he's managed to take his game to being a star. And he's managed to win 4 out of the other 5 frames. Now then, we've had the break of 83 points. We've had the break of 95 points. Can we finally see a century break now from Hawkins as well to end this match on a high? The answer is no. So it is going to be the break of 84 points. And it is still going to be a great compliment there from Mark Williams. That he's going to be knocked out, but Barry Hawkins is still going to be in to the quarterfinal. So the crowd certainly would have enjoyed this performance from the Hawk that moves himself closer to being, once again, repeating that campaign in 2018 and reaching the final of the Welsh Open Series. So, yes, thank you very much for everyone tuning in. We'll see you around for Xiaozington against Stuart Bingham. Once again, I do apologise. Maybe late on a couple of moments for that one, but the scoreboard should be up and running. And to be fair, those matches never start on time anyway. So appreciate for everyone that's been here. Feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Jung John and Barry Hawkins are through to the quarterfinal stage. Let's see which one of the players is going to join them. For now, that's it for me. Stay tuned in. We've got more matches coming up to try and end the Home Nation series this season of snooker.
Minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again.